You say you want success. You say you want freedom. You say you're tired of struggling, tired of being average, tired of watching other people win while you sit on the sidelines. But let me ask you something uncomfortable. If you truly wanted it, why are you still negotiating with your excuses? Why do you wait for motivation? Why do you wait for the right mood, the right time, the right opportunity? The truth is harsh, but it will set you free. Motivation is temporary, feelings are unreliable, and talent is overrated. Discipline is the only way out. Everything else is an excuse. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, bored, heartbroken, or doubting yourself. It shows up anyway, and that's exactly why most people avoid it, because discipline forces you to confront who you really are when no one is watching. It exposes the gap between your dreams and your daily habits. It reveals whether you truly want success, or just like the idea of it. Every excuse sounds valid in the moment. I'm not ready. I'll start tomorrow. I need more time. I'm not talented enough. But look closer. These are not reasons. They are shields. Shields protecting you from discomfort. Shields protecting you from failure. Shields protecting you from the responsibility of becoming better. And as long as you protect your comfort, you will sacrifice your potential. Discipline is waking up early when your bed feels like heaven. It's working when your mind tells you to scroll. It's practicing when nobody is clapping. It's saving money when you want to spend. It's staying consistent when results are invisible. Discipline is choosing long-term growth over short-term pleasure, again and again and again. The world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards execution. It doesn't care about your plans, your vision boards, your big talk. It responds to action. Small, repeated, boring action. That's the secret nobody wants to hear. Success is not built in one dramatic moment. It's built in quiet, lonely mornings, in late nights when you want to quit, in the days when nothing seems to be working but you refuse to stop. If you're stuck, it's not because you lack ability, it's because you lack consistency. If you're behind, it's not because the world is against you, it's because your habits are against you. And the moment you stop blaming circumstances and start mastering yourself, everything changes. Discipline is not punishment, it is power. It is freedom. It is the bridge between who you are and who you could become. And once you embrace it, excuses lose their grip on you. So stop waiting to feel ready. Stop waiting to feel inspired. Start moving. Start building. Start becoming. Because discipline is the only way out, and the longer you delay it, the longer you delay your own breakthrough. There comes a moment in every person's life when they are forced to face a brutal truth. Nothing is coming to save them. Not luck, not talent, not connections, not the perfect opportunity. And in that moment, when the noise of excuses fades and reality stands naked in front of you, only one thing remains between you and the life you say you want: discipline. Discipline is the only way out. Everything else is an excuse. That sentence may sound harsh, but it is not meant to hurt you. It is meant to wake you up. Most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they are inconsistent. They fail because they rely on motivation, and motivation is fragile. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline does not. Motivation shows up when you watch an inspiring video, read a powerful quote, or feel a sudden surge of emotion. But discipline shows up on random Tuesdays when you are tired, stressed, and nobody is watching. And that is where real change happens. Not in emotional highs, but in ordinary days. Think about the story of Michael Jordan. People love to talk about his talent. They call him gifted, born for greatness, naturally competitive. But what most people ignore is what happened after he was cut from his high school varsity basketball team. Imagine that moment, a teenager, humiliated, disappointed, doubting himself. Many would have taken that as proof that they weren't meant for success. Many would have turned it into a lifelong excuse, but instead of quitting, he practiced harder. He woke up earlier, he trained longer, he worked on his weaknesses relentlessly. Talent didn't save him, discipline did. And that same discipline is what separated him from thousands of other talented players. Here's the uncomfortable part. Most people don't want success badly enough to endure the boredom required to achieve it, because discipline is not glamorous. It is repetitive. It is often lonely. It is doing the same small actions over and over again when results are invisible. You go to the gym for weeks and see little change. You work on your business and make no sales. You study for hours and still struggle. And in those moments, excuses become seductive. Maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I'm not talented. Maybe I should try something easier. But those thoughts are not truth. They are escape routes. Discipline means staying when your emotions are telling you to leave. It means committing to your future self more than your present comfort. When you choose to wake up early instead of hitting snooze, that's discipline. When you choose to read instead of scrolling for hours, that's discipline. when you choose to save money instead of spending it to impress people who don't care. That's discipline. These are not dramatic actions. They are small decisions. But small decisions repeated daily shape your entire destiny. Look at Dwayne Johnson. Before the fame, before the Hollywood lights, he faced rejection after rejection. His football career ended. He had $7 in his pocket. 7. At that point, he could have blamed circumstances. He could have said life was unfair. Instead, he committed to a routine. He trained relentlessly. He built himself physically and mentally. He showed up every single day. Not because he felt motivated, but because he decided he would not negotiate with his goals. Today, people call him successful, lucky, gifted. They see the outcome. They don't see the thousands of disciplined mornings behind it. Discipline forces you to confront yourself. It removes the illusion that success is external. The truth is, your greatest enemy is not your environment. It is your inconsistency. It is the promises you break to yourself. Every time you say, "I'll start tomorrow," and you don't, you weaken yourself, trust, and self. Trust is everything. If you don't believe your own word, how can you build anything meaningful? Imagine two people with the same dream. Both want to start a business. The first waits for the perfect logo, the perfect plan, the perfect timing. The second starts messy, learns, fails, adjusts, shows up daily. 1 year later, the second person is miles ahead, not because they were smarter, not because they had more resources, but because they were disciplined enough to act despite imperfection. Discipline is freedom disguised as restriction. At first, it feels limiting. You restrict your sleep schedule, you restrict junk food, you restrict distractions. But over time, those restrictions create expansion. You gain energy, you gain confidence, you gain financial stability, you gain options, and options are freedom. Consider Elon Musk. Regardless of what people think about him, one fact is undeniable: his work ethic is extreme. He has spoken about working 80 to 100 hours a week during critical phases of building his companies. That level of discipline is not normal. It is uncomfortable. It is exhausting. But it is also the reason he was able to build and scale multiple billion-dollar companies. Most people want extraordinary results with ordinary effort. That is not how reality works. Discipline also means doing the right thing when no one is watching. Integrity with yourself. When you say you will train, you train. When you say you will study, you study. When you say you will save money, you save it. You don't rely on accountability from others. You become your own standard, and that changes your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You see yourself as someone who executes. There will be days when you feel tired, days when you doubt yourself, days when progress seems invisible. Discipline does not eliminate those days. It carries you through them. It whispers, "Do it anyway." And when you listen to that whisper enough times, it becomes your character. The difference between where you are and where you want to be is not a miracle. It is a pattern. A pattern of disciplined actions repeated long enough to compound. Imagine improving just 1% every day. That tiny improvement, compounded over a year, transforms you completely, but only if you are consistent. Excuses feel safe because they protect your ego. If you blame circumstances, you don't have to confront your own lack of effort. But blaming keeps you powerless. Discipline gives you control. It shifts your focus from what you can't change to what you can. Right now, you have two options. You can continue negotiating with your comfort, telling yourself stories about why you can't start, or you can decide that your future matters more than your excuses. You can decide that your dreams deserve discipline. Nobody is going to knock on your door and hand you success. Nobody is going to force you to wake up early, to work hard, to stay consistent. That responsibility is yours, and that is empowering because it means your destiny is not random. It is built. When you embrace discipline, you stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Does this move me forward?" That one shift changes everything because feelings fluctuate, but progress demands commitment. Years from now, you will either look back with pride or regret. Pride because you endured the discomfort and built something meaningful. Or regret because you let temporary emotions steal permanent opportunities. The choice is daily. The choice is small. The choice is yours. Discipline is not punishment. It is self. Respect in action. It is love for your future self. It is proof that you believe you are capable of more. And once you truly understand that discipline is the only way out, excuses lose their power over you. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting for motivation. Stop waiting to feel ready. Start where you are. Start imperfect. Start tired if you must, but start disciplined. Because everything you want is on the other side of consistent action, and the only bridge that will take you there is discipline. Good, now we go deeper, because understanding discipline is one thing, living it is another. Let me tell you something most people will never admit. The hardest part about discipline is not the action itself, it's the silence. It's the fact that when you are building your future, nobody claps, nobody sees the early mornings. Nobody sees the extra hours, nobody sees the sacrifices, and the world will not reward you immediately. That is where most people quit. You go to the gym for 30 days and your body doesn't transform overnight. You start a YouTube channel and for months nobody watches. You build a business and sales are slow. You study hard and the results take time, and your mind starts whispering, "Is this even working?" That whisper is the birthplace of excuses, but discipline answers differently. Discipline says, keep going. Think about Kobe Bryant, not just his championships, but his process. He was known for waking up at 4 a.m. to train, not once, not for a week, but for years. He trained before practice, after practice. He studied game footage obsessively. He didn't rely on being naturally gifted. He built his edge through relentless repetition. That's what people called the Mamba mentality. It wasn't about hype, it was about habits. And habits are discipline in action. Here's what you need to understand. Discipline builds identity. Every time you keep your word to yourself, you are rewriting who you are. When you say, I will run 5 kilometers, and you run it even when you're tired, you become someone who follows through. When you say, I will work on my dream for 1 hour daily, and you actually do it, you stop being someone who wishes, you become someone who executes. Identity is powerful, because once you see yourself as disciplined, quitting feels wrong, breaking promises feels uncomfortable. You no longer debate with laziness. You don't ask, should I do it? You simply do it. Now let's be honest. Discipline hurts at first. It hurts to say no to distractions. It hurts to skip parties when you have goals. It hurts to wake up early when everyone else is sleeping. It hurts to practice when others are relaxing. But that short-term discomfort prevents long-term pain. Because the pain of discipline is temporary. The pain of regret lasts for years. Imagine being 10 years older and realizing you had the ability, the time, the opportunity, but you chose comfort. That realization cuts deeper than any early morning workout ever could. Look at Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from her first television job. She was told she wasn't fit for television. That could have become her excuse. She could have said, they rejected me. Maybe they're right, but she kept sharpening her craft. She kept improving. She stayed disciplined in her growth. And to Lick sepsis, he stayed disciplined in her growth. Today, she is one of the most influential media figures in the world. Rejection didn't stop her. A lack of discipline would have. Discipline also teaches patience. We live in a world addicted to quick results, fast money, fast fame, fast transformation. But real growth is slow. It is quiet. It is invisible at first. Like planting a seed. For weeks, nothing appears above the ground. If you didn't know better, you would think nothing is happening, but beneath the soil, roots are growing. That's what discipline does. It builds roots before results. When you show up daily, even without visible progress, you are strengthening your foundation. Skills improve. Confidence builds, resilience grows, and then one day, suddenly to others, but not to you, the results appear, and people call it luck, but you know the truth. It was discipline. Let's bring this closer to you. Maybe you want financial freedom. Discipline means tracking your expenses, even when it's annoying. Saving even when you want to spend. Learning about investments instead of scrolling. It means choosing long-term wealth over short-term pleasure. Maybe you want better health. Discipline means consistent workouts, balanced eating, proper sleep, not extreme for 1 week, consistent for years. Maybe you want to build a personal brand or YouTube channel. Discipline means uploading even when views are low, improving your editing, learning storytelling, studying analytics, showing up weekly, monthly, yearly. You see, discipline is boring, and that's why it works, because most people won't endure boring long enough to succeed. The truth is, you don't need more information. You need more implementation. You already know what to do. Wake up earlier, train harder, focus more, waste less time, speak less, execute more. The gap is not knowledge, the gap is discipline, and discipline grows through repetition, not emotion. One powerful example is Cristiano Ronaldo. People admire his physique, his trophies, his records, but his teammates often speak about his extreme discipline, strict diet, extra training sessions, intense focus on recovery. He wasn't satisfied with average effort. He chose standards that others avoided, and those standards built his legacy. Here is the deeper layer. Discipline is self-respect. When you constantly break promises to yourself, you subconsciously tell your mind, my word doesn't matter. But when you honor your commitments, you tell yourself, I am serious about my life. That internal shift changes your confidence. You walk differently, you speak differently, you think differently. Discipline is not about punishment, it is about alignment, aligning your actions with your goals. Right now, there is a version of you that is stronger, sharper, wealthier, healthier. That version already exists in potential. The only difference between you and that future self is daily disciplined action. No miracle, no secret shortcut, just consistent execution. There will be days you feel tired. Discipline says move anyway. There will be days you feel discouraged. Discipline says show up anyway. There will be days when no one believes in you. Discipline says believe through action. You don't need to feel confident to act. You act, and confidence follows. And here is something powerful. Discipline compounds. If you improve your skills 1 hour a day, that's 365 hours a year. In 5 years, that's over 1,800 hours of focused growth. Do you think that version of you will be average? Impossible. Small actions, massive results, but only if repeated consistently. Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 week and underestimate what they can do in 5 years. Discipline shifts your focus from intensity to consistency. It's not about going all in for 3 days. It's about staying committed for 3 years. And once discipline becomes your lifestyle, something magical happens. Excuses start sounding weak. I'm too tired. But you've been tired before and still performed. I don't feel motivated, but you've worked without motivation before. It's too hard, but you've handled harder. You build proof, and proof builds belief. Eventually, discipline becomes automatic. You don't debate, you execute. And that execution separates you from 90% of people. Because most people want the spotlight. Very few want the grind. Most people want the reward. Very few want the routine. Most people want success. Very few want discipline. Most people want and that is why discipline is the only way out. It is the only reliable bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Everything else, waiting for inspiration, blaming circumstances, hoping for luck, is an excuse disguised as logic. So here is the question you must ask yourself honestly. Are you tired of your situation, or are you tired enough to change it? Because change requires discipline. Not tomorrow, not next month. Today, right after this moment ends, start small if you must, but start consistent. Set a standard, keep your word. Protect your focus. Repeat daily. 1 year of discipline can change your entire life. 5 years of discipline can make you unrecognizable. And when people ask how you did it, you won't need a dramatic story. You'll simply say, I stopped making excuses, and I started being disciplined. Now we go even deeper, not louder, not more dramatic, just deeper. Because at some point, discipline stops being about achievement and starts being about survival. There are seasons in life when nothing makes sense, when you feel behind, when people around you seem to be moving faster, when your efforts don't translate into visible results. When doubt creeps in quietly at night and asks, what if this never works? In those moments, motivation disappears completely. Inspiration feels fake. Positive quotes sound empty. And what remains? Only discipline. Discipline is what carries you when belief feels weak. It is what keeps your feet moving when your heart feels heavy. It is not it is mechanical. It says you made a commitment, so we move. And this is where most people misunderstand discipline. They think discipline means being intense all the time. They imagine extreme routines, no breaks, constant hustle. But true discipline is quieter than that. It is sustainable. It is steady. It is choosing progress over perfection. Think about someone preparing for a competitive exam, not 1 week before the test, but 1 year before it, while others are relaxed. They are studying 2 hours daily, not because they are scared, not because someone forces them, but because they understand that consistency compounds. At first, nothing seems different, but after months, their understanding deepens. Their confidence grows, and when the exam arrives, they are calm, not because they are lucky, but because they are prepared. Preparation is discipline in advance, and discipline eliminates panic. Look at Serena Williams. People talk about her power, her dominance, her titles, but behind every championship was repetition, endless practice sessions. Hours refining technique, years of showing up. She didn't rely on match day energy. She relied on preparation. That is why, under pressure, she could perform, because discipline had already done the work long before the spotlight arrived. You must understand something important. The future rewards what the present repeats. If you repeat distraction daily, your future will reflect chaos. If you repeat discipline daily, your future will reflect growth. There is no mystery. Your daily habits are voting for your future identity. Right now, in this very season of your life, you are either building momentum or building regret, and both are the result of repetition. Let's talk about the invisible war, the battle between comfort and calling. Comfort whispers, rest more, scroll more, start later, you deserve it. Calling whispers, you are capable of more. Discipline is choosing the whisper that leads to growth instead of the one that leads to ease. And here's the truth, comfort is addictive. The more you give into it, the weaker your self-control becomes. The more you delay action, the heavier starting feels. That's why the first step is always the hardest. But once you move, momentum begins. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it feels. In the beginning, waking up early feels painful. After months, it feels normal. In the beginning, working out feels exhausting. After years, not working out feels strange. In the beginning, saving money feels restrictive. Later, financial security feels freeing. Your brain adapts to what you repeatedly do. That's why discipline eventually becomes identity. There is a story about Jeff Bezos in the early days of building Amazon. He worked out of a garage. There was no guarantee it would succeed. Online retail was uncertain. Many people doubted the idea, but he focused on systems. Many people doubted the idea. On daily improvement, on long-term thinking, discipline and vision, discipline and execution, not reacting emotionally to short-term fluctuations. Years later, the world saw a giant company, but in the beginning it was just consistent action in obscurity. Most people quit in obscurity. They want validation too early. They want applause before mastery. But discipline teaches you to fall in love with the process, not the praise. If you need constant recognition to continue, you will stop when recognition disappears. But if you are disciplined, you continue whether people clap or criticize. And here is something even more powerful. Discipline builds resilience. When you repeatedly do hard things, your tolerance for discomfort increases. Challenges that once felt overwhelming start to feel manageable. You stop overreacting to small obstacles. You become stable, focused, grounded. Resilience is not built in comfort. It is built in repetition of effort. Imagine training for a marathon. The first long run feels unbearable. Your lungs burn. Your legs ache. But you keep training. Week after week, slowly, your endurance grows. What once felt impossible becomes achievable. That transformation is not magic. It is adaptation through discipline. Your mind works the same way. The more you face difficulty instead of avoiding it, the stronger your mental endurance becomes. Now let's talk about fear. Many people think they lack confidence, but what they truly lack is disciplined action despite fear. Confidence is not something you wait to feel. It is something you earn by doing hard things consistently. If you speak publicly once, you might feel nervous. If you do it 100 times, your fear decreases. If you post one video online, you might doubt yourself. If you post 200 videos, you improve, adapt, refine. Discipline reduces fear because familiarity replaces uncertainty. Action cures anxiety more effectively than overthinking ever will. And here's the reality most avoid. Your competition is not more talented than you. They are more consistent than you. Somewhere right now, someone with less skill is outworking someone with more potential. And in 5 years, the consistent one will win. Potential means nothing without discipline. The graveyard is full of potential that never became reality. The graveyard is full of potential. The difference between average and exceptional is not a dramatic leap. It is a slight edge maintained daily. Wake up 1 hour earlier. Study 1 extra chapter. Practice 1 more repetition. Save 1 more percentage. Read 1 more page. Improve 1 small detail, small edges. Sustained over time. Create massive separation. And let's address something honestly. Discipline requires sacrifice. You cannot live like everyone else and expect extraordinary results. If your schedule looks identical to someone who has no big goals, your results will likely match theirs. Sacrifice doesn't mean misery. It means priority. When your goal becomes a priority, your choices align with it. You start asking different questions. Does this help me grow? Does this move me forward? Does this align with who I want to become? And when the answer is no, discipline gives you the strength to walk away. There will be moments when you feel alone in your commitment. Friends may not understand your focus. Family may question your intensity. Society may tempt you toward comfort, but remember this, people will only understand the discipline after they see the results. In the beginning, discipline looks like obsession. In the middle, it looks like dedication. In the end, it looks like success, but the work is the same. And here is the final truth you must accept. Nobody is coming to enforce your discipline. You are both the boss and the employee of your own life. You decide the standards. You decide the effort. You decide the excuses. And every single day, you cast a vote for the person you are becoming. If you wake up and choose comfort, you vote for average. If you wake up and choose discipline, you vote for growth. One vote feels small, but thousands of votes create identity. Years from now, when you stand in a position of strength, financially stable, physically healthy, mentally sharp, it will not be because you felt inspired every day. It will be because you acted every day. Discipline is not loud. It is not flashy. It does not trend, but it transforms. It turns weak habits into powerful routines. It turns doubt into evidence. It turns dreams into outcomes. And most importantly, it turns you into someone you respect. So if you ever feel stuck, lost, behind, or frustrated, don't look for a new secret. Look at your daily discipline, because discipline is the only way out. Everything else is an excuse. And the moment you truly accept that, not emotionally but practically, your life begins to change. Not in one dramatic explosion, but in quiet, unstoppable progress. Day by day, choice by choice, action by action, until one day you wake up and realize you didn't escape your old life by luck. You built your new one through discipline. Now listen carefully, because this is where everything becomes real for you. Not tomorrow, not next year, right now. You don't need a new strategy. You don't need better circumstances. You don't need someone else's approval. What you need is a decision, a clear, firm, non-negotiable decision that from this moment forward, you will stop betraying your own potential. Discipline is not about becoming perfect overnight. It is about honoring your future self with today's actions. It is about choosing growth when comfort calls your name. And the beautiful truth is this: you are far more capable than you have allowed yourself to believe. Every great transformation in history started with one person deciding, enough excuses. Think about Muhammad Ali, who trained relentlessly even when the world doubted him, declaring he was the greatest long before anyone else believed it. That confidence was not magic, it was built through disciplined preparation. Or look at Steve Jobs, who faced setbacks and rejection, but returned with sharper focus and relentless execution. Their greatness was not born in comfort, it was forged in commitment, and so will yours be. You do not need to dominate the world tomorrow. You need to win today. Win the morning, win the hour, win the small promises you make to yourself. Because when you stack small wins consistently, you build unstoppable momentum. Imagine waking up 1 year from now, knowing you kept your word every single day. Imagine the confidence that would live inside you. Yet you imagine the strength, the clarity, the pride. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is a direct result of disciplined action starting now. There will still be hard days. There will still be doubt, but you will no longer be fragile because you will trust yourself. And self-trust is power. So when this message ends, don't just feel inspired. Take action. Set one standard today and protect it. One workout, one focused hour, one step toward your goal. Not dramatic, not extreme, just consistent. Let others chase motivation. You build habits. Let others wait for perfect timing. You execute. Let others talk about what they will do. You become the person who does it, because your life will not change when you feel ready. It will change when you decide that your dreams deserve discipline. And when you fully embrace that truth, you will realize something powerful. You were never stuck. You were just one disciplined decision away from a completely different future.